at CogX Hybrid Festival 2021. CogX is a global leadership summit and festival of artificial intelligence and transformational technology addressing the big question, how do we get the next 10 years right? I'm Leila Siddiqui, Associate Director, Diversity at the IPA and member of the Creative Industries Council Diversity Group. I am so excited to be your MC this afternoon because CreateTech has a stellar lineup of cutting-edge content from gaming, live performance, advertising, esports, visual arts, fashion, music, and much, much more. CreateTech is unique in that it is the intersection of creative and technology industries where innovation in AI, VR, algorithms, specialized software, and others are transforming creative services, outputs, and processes. CreateTech at CogX 2021 is hosted by the Creative Industries Council and supported by associate partners, Digital Catapult, Facebook, Moore Kingston Smith, and UKIR. Please join the conversation on social using hashtag CreateTechUK and hashtag CogX2021. Applications are also now open for our annual showcase of the best innovations in UK CreateTech, which is called Ones to Watch. You can find out more on our website, thecreativeindustries.co.uk. Today, we're also really pleased to announce the first in-depth research into CreateTech employment by TechNation and the Creative Industries Council. You can find more on the TechNation website, technation.io. The report sheds new light on sought-after skills in the CreateTech category, which is attracting record levels of venture capital investment. Our next session this afternoon is titled CreateTech Clusters, the Key to Global Growth. West London is one of the most important global clusters for the creative industries. Not only does it have an amazing history of innovation, but it also has a competitive advantage with superior connectivity, major studios, a strong ecosystem, and in-demand talent. We're going to be hearing from the Digital Creative Network West on how they aim to foster collaboration and accelerate innovation at the creative and technology sectors. This session will be moderated by Prema Gurunathan, Managing Director at Upstream. Upstream is a partnership between Hammersmith and Fulham and Imperial College London, here to build an inclusive ecosystem for the tech and creative industries in Hammersmith and Fulham. Prema, really excited to hear what you have to say. Take it away.
Great. Thank you, Leila. As Leila said, I'm Prema and I'm Managing Director of Upstream. So we're a partnership between Hammersmith and Fulham Council and Imperial College London. And what we do is we connect, we support, and we shine a light on the science, tech, and creative industries in this part of London. And back in April, we partnered with West London Business and the Creative Enterprise Zone in Hounslow to launch the Digital Creative Network West. West obviously being West London. Where else would it be? So you may ask, why have we launched the Digital Creative Network? Well, for a start, as Leila said, West London has an incredible history of media and innovation, and we have long held a competitive advantage with superior connectivity, major studios, international screen corporates, strong ecosystem, and in-demand talent. Organic growth, has been great, and we've seen the sector thrive, but there is now a need for collaboration between industry, academia, and government to address a number of shared priorities around talent, space, innovation, and sustainability. So what did we do? We have set up this new network as a means to foster and strengthen relationships amongst digital creatives in West London, whether someone works for a large organization, a startup, or in academia. We wanted to promote collaboration and accelerate innovation between the creative and technology sectors and support our digital creative ecosystem so that it can continue to thrive. So back in April, we had 5 speakers as part of a diverse panel. We've lost some of that diversity, hands up on that one, due to scheduling conflicts, but we are committed to ensuring it at all future Digital Creative Network West events. Today, we have 3 fantastic speakers from our original lineup. They're each going to speak for around 8 minutes, and I'm going to introduce them as we go along. We're going to take questions. I think they go into the chat function, I've been told, and I will put them across to the speakers at the end of the 3 presentations. Our first speaker is Rob Fowler, who is Director of Business Development at Brompton Tech. Rob has worked in event technology for over 25 years, beginning at an automated lighting manufacturer in technical support before he became interested in the crossover between lighting and video. At Element Labs is where he was before he helped deliver landmark projects with LED video before joining Brompton Technology in 2013. Rob, over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me today. I guess maybe it's useful, firstly, just to try and explain a little bit about who Brompton Technology are and what we do. In a nutshell, we make LED video processing. So looking at, say, a big LED video wall like the one behind me, that was from the Asian Games opening ceremony in 2007. A good example of a massive scale screen, but with, much larger pitch. So the distance between each LED on that was about 77 millimeters, huge, 150 meters wide. We make the backbone electronics to that, and we've been involved in that for about 10 years, initially helping some of the rental companies that we knew from previous work. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting something about the mic. I'm getting some background noise. Not sure why that is. Okay, hopefully it's better. We were involved in talking to the rental companies who supply those kind of screens for entertainment and events to try and provide something which they could work with the new screens they were acquiring at that time about 10 years ago. So initially kind of coming from a retrofit. Now, how did we get involved in that? We got involved because we're part of something called the Carillon Group of companies, which was a group of software and hardware engineers who started a company in Ealing in West London about 18 years ago. And it's probably a very West London story, if you like. We formed that company, 7 people. It's now employing over 100 in 3 continents. And Brompton is just one of the things that it does. But it's very much leveraged the experience that we've all had sort of working with other companies in related fields, in lighting and so on, in West London. And that has really brought, those skills to bear on new challenges like LED video, which is, a comparatively new technology in its own right. And I guess what's really sort of brought us onto the radar in many ways, particularly for things like the DCN, has been the fact that in the last couple of years, we've got more and more involved with the field of virtual production. So whereas our bread and butter, if you like, for the first 5 or 6 years of the business was these big screens at events, at concerts, Metallica, U2 screens, car shows, that sort of thing. In the last few years, we've been more and more involved in this emerging field of virtual production. So I don't know if Ian can share my screen for a moment, where I've got a picture of what we would call a volume. So here you can see an actor who's being filmed in front of an LED video wall. So, we've actually reached a stage where once upon a time, we were only responsible for showing a tree at a big screen at a gig and wanting it to look like a tree. Now, I guess the challenge is for someone to film that tree and for you to think she's actually standing in front of a real tree, which I guess shows you how far the technology has come, really. The fine pitch screens that we're looking at now are sort of 1.5 and 2 mil. So that's the gap between the individual LED pixels compared to that one, which was about 77 millimeters. You can see how far the technology has come since 2007. So it's a rapidly developing area. I mean, it's tremendously exciting. And of course, what helps is being somewhere like West London and having access to creative networks, precisely because you're going to find yourselves, when you pivot from something like events into film, needing to form new partnerships, because, we're the first to admit that, when we began the business, we weren't necessarily seeing film as where we were going to be doing the bulk of our business. And since the pandemic, I have to say it is. Unfortunately and fortunately, we're grateful to have had that that extra business, and thanks to something like the DCM, we've been able to form new relationships and benefit from the cluster. So I'm going to finish up now with some footage of a recent camera test that we did with another Southwest London business, White Light, who are very involved in TV and broadcast production. And this shows a new technique that we've developed called frame remapping, which actually allows you to interleave pieces of content which can respond to different cameras. Now, with virtual production, an awful lot of what we're doing is actually building on game engine technology for things like The Mandalorian, where they're creating sets in real time as they're filming. And that technology allows us to create the right perspective for the camera. But of course, that's only one perspective because you've only got one screen. This technology allows you to create more than one set of content, interleave it, sync the cameras, and display it so fast that they just appear superimposed when you're in the studio, but the cameras can filter out which bit of the image they want. So I'm going to go over to that now and just roll that, and I look forward to answering any questions that anyone's got about that at the end of the
Frame
session.
remapping allows LED screens to simultaneously display multiple feeds of content. One potential workflow this unlocks is the shooting of a real-time 3D environment from multiple camera angles. Here's Andy Hook of White Light to tell us more.
So what we've got going on here is two different camera perspectives being shown on the LED wall at the same time. So on the top camera here, we've got the jib camera. So if the jib camera moves around now, you'll see that the content's being generated to the perspective of the jib. And if we stop the jib moving and move the second camera around on the screen down here, you'll see we've got content being generated to a completely different perspective of the second camera, both visible on the LED wall at the same time to each camera. And to the presenter or the person using the stage, they're seeing a composite of both images. So almost like a blurred or superimposed version of the images. If we move both the cameras together at the same time, you'll see that both cameras are getting an image to the perspective of that camera, perfectly stable, showing two different images on the same LED wall. So we can now take the B-roll from both of these cameras and go and edit this production in post, but having all the benefits of using a virtual production stage in terms of reflections and shadows and the connection with the content.
Thank you, Rob. So much. We look forward to asking Rob a few questions at the end. Our next speaker is Steve Warren, director at Avolites. Avolites has gone from its roots under a railway arch in Ealing to becoming a core influencer and creator of visual control technologies that have shaped the film, television, and concert industries. Avolites control systems have been utilized in productions ranging from the Rolling Stones and Madonna to the film sets of Harry Potter and on to the record-breaking massive landscape audience video screen for the London 2012 Olympics. Steve, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prema. Really glad to be here, really glad to have this opportunity to tell you about something that's been so important to me, and I think so important to many of us in the industry in West London, which is Avolites. Also, thank you, Rob. I have to say it's incredible the way that the technology keeps moving forward, and it's so hard to be aware of each other's technology. So, you learn something new every day, and I'm kept absolutely blown away by the developments that Brompton have been putting forward, and absolute industry leading company, really is number one, and very proud of them as a British manufacturer. We ourselves are also a British manufacturer. And have been part of that West London story, also starting in the Arches in Ealing, but we're now based in Wembley, and we've been there since '83. But the company started right back in 1976, which was really, so we've really been there since the start of very large-scale touring events. And events, for example, like Live Aid at Wembley Stadium were, huge events for us a long time ago. And things like Queen, which you probably might have seen in the recent Queen movie, it brought back many happy memories. I was also very proud to have been one of the ones soldering that console together. So we've been there right from the workshop, from soldering bits of wires together, right up into the developments now that are all software led. We're very proud of our hardware platforms, but the software is just surging forward. And we in the UK, I think we're very good at making innovative software and easy to use software, which is so important because time is always against you. We try and do more and more in less and less time. Anyway, as the time is running, I'm going to sort of step through and try and give you an idea of what Avolites is all about and what we do. So we've been here for 40 years, and we've had a stream of industry firsts during that time, and it's been really exciting and proud to be able to take the industry forward step by step. Due to time constraints, obviously I won't go into each one of these, but very happy to take personal contact from people. If people contact me afterwards, I would talk about Avolites for ad infinitum. This is normally where you'd see Avolites used on live stages. This is Arcadia at Glastonbury, the last time Glastonbury was open. We've had a long history with them, and we're involved in a number of the Glastonbury stages. Although I have a very soft spot for what Arcadia do. They're very exciting. And for us, it's really about bringing it all together. I've always felt it's very, it's so much stronger together. And so even though we started as a lighting company, some years ago, about 8 years ago, we brought in video control, and we brought in a number of video products, say 10 years now, brought in video because it was so clear that the video has to work together with the lighting. They were always been treated as separate disciplines, but they go into the same portal, they go into our eyes, and I've always felt extremely strongly that they need to be brought together, and we've made really massive steps in that recently, and it's really exciting to see the industry moving forward in that way. So this is our latest platform, the large one on the right. Obviously, you can imagine we're super proud when we take the cover off of that and showing people how to use it. But I'm equally proud of the fact that even our smallest products, the one you see on the left, this tiny little box, connect that up to a laptop, and all of the functionality that you get, all of the software functionality you get on the large platforms, all of that is accessible through this enabling small unit. So I really see us as a very approachable company, and a company that will fit into all sorts of different types of application. We've worked on many things from concert being the main thing, but as Prema said, we're into film, TV, theme parks, corporate presentations, and there's just so many ways that these can be used, so many applications they can be used for. So one of our proudest moments was the 2012 Olympics, and really proud because it was such an unusual application. We actually changed the stadium into a video screen, and it's still in Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest video screen, because each of the seats became a pixel with these 9-pixel paddles in each of them. So I'm going to have a time allowing, I'm going to show you a little bit clip of that, and then we're going to step on from that. And all that's all we have time for there, but it does give you an idea of how we can then bring the audience. We were able to bring the audience into, to become part of the performance, and it was really a massive step forward. And these are the things that sort of inspire you and keep you moving forward. Other firsts are things like this Bon Jovi show, where we were projecting on these columns as they extended and retracted in real time. We were projecting on them from both sides. So it's another interesting application. It was the most complex touring dynamic video mapped production that's been to date. And so again, very pleased to have sort of worked with that, and just trying to show that there's lighting, there's LED video, and projection that all play their different roles and different parts within what we do. We've then also have a number of sort of intricate software features where, again, it's about bringing things together. So we developed a system where we could layer many different effects and shapes that run across these lighting systems and start to synchronize those. But this is really just the tip of the iceberg, because the really big step forward now is the synergy between lighting and video integration. And so as you can see, as the pictures show you here, that the lights that are pushing the video image out into the venue and into the audience are picking up their data from the video image. So the places where you haven't got video screen, that color and intensity information is routed through to the lights, so that the video can essentially become a backdrop, become the wallpaper for the venue. But the lighting has the ability to push that out into the audience and make the audience really engage and feel part of what's going on stage. And again, I feel it's all about inclusiveness. It's such an important point to me, and that's why I've been sort of a champion of this, bringing together these different disciplines. So we have a clip here. I can see time is running away against me, so I'm going to show the first few seconds of that and see what else can we tell you about Avolites in the time. as you see, you can see that the lights and video working together, and it's a massive step. They're two completely different disciplines that are have different requirements and work in very different ways. So, but I think part of the excitement of this what we do is overcoming those hurdles. And more recently, I'm going to step past this one. More recently, we've been working with Pioneer to bring the audio waveforms into the lighting console. Again, the audio and lighting departments, even though they worked on the same shows, there are two completely separate entities. And it's just been fantastic to bring the audio data that's published across the network, bring that into the lighting console, and then use that as a heartbeat for the lighting system. So I've promised not to overrun, so I'm not sure how we unshare, if somebody unshares for me. But there's just so much more. There's so many projects and so many different things that we're happy to advise people. It's not all about big, expensive shows. We work on day-to-day presentations all the time. We're really happy to advise and talk about lights, video, ad infinitum. So thank you, Prema.
Thank you so much, Steve. Your excitement and passion is always palpable. And I have to say, 2012 Olympics, Bon Jovi, glory days. I mean, such happiness back then. So our next speaker is Jason Landau, who is Creative Director of Innovation at Sky. And Jason joined Sky Creative in 2001 as a junior designer working across many areas of the Sky Sports design team. And this foundation created an opportunity for him to lead Sky Sports news design team in 2011. And he's now over 20 years of experience. He's now Creative Director of Innovation, pushing the boundaries of creative innovation and delivering award-winning work across Sky. Jason, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much for the lovely intro, and then thanks very much for having me today. The innovation team at Sky, as part of Sky Creative, was formed back in 2019. The idea behind it was that by bringing people together from the Sky Sports design team and the Sky News design team with similar skill sets and kind of like-minded people, by pooling these guys together, this talent together, that knowledge sharing we felt would help our output across Sky. And I'm pleased to say that we have seen that. In fact, we work on a Sky News project, and then from that we go on a Sky Sports project, but we want to make it better, and then we go back to the Sky News, and then we want to make that better. So it's definitely, we're finding that sort of internal competition helps drive us forward to produce better content. So the innovation team is all about real-time graphics. Everything we do is live, and what we're about is basically helping production teams to better tell the story. And that could be data-driven graphics, football matches, golf, or in Sky News, or it can be working with we're very proud of the pundits that we have at Sky, and how do we best help them analyze the sport that they're talking about, and constantly obviously looking at new ways of working. I'm just going to share some work with you now. So as I said, the innovation team is all about real time. Sky is very proud of its innovation and constantly look to push the boundaries, and of course we kind of best use of groundbreaking technologies to help us deliver that work, and that kind of those groundbreaking technologies help us to deliver wow moments. So what you can see here is our Premier League OB studio, and now the Premier League is our most premium product, and part of our broadcast rights are that we get a studio space at each ground for our matches, which is 5 meters by 5 meters, and we felt that we were a little limited with what we could do in those spaces. So, and as you can see, it's not as grand as you think it is. But what we decided to do was, well, if we were doing it at Sky, what would we do? And we thought, well, you'd have a more expansive studio with the ability to have big LED screens and stuff like that. And we were able to do that in AR rather than in reality. So we were able to take this box studio and take it from this and turn it into this. As you can see, a much better space. It's got that premium feel that you would expect for the Premier League. We're able to bring in Jurgen Klopp and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and these are all great additions, and there's loads of editorial that we can do with that. Other sort of wow factory things, we were able to suggest putting a spider cam inside Sky Central, which is our main building at Sky, and then using AR to help deliver the winning moment for the general election. And then why wouldn't we then bring the White House in for the US election into Sky Central? Here, using the Unreal Games engine to help create that look that we think is fantastic, and is helping really drive our graphics forward. So what you've seen there is a lot of work from the innovation team, but that's working alongside some very talented people at Sky who all work within other departments. But there's probably not a project that we do that doesn't include collaboration with external companies. In fact, some projects are completely driven off the fact of working with other companies. So relationships to us are key. Skyscope is an award-winning innovation, sports analysis like never seen before. And this all came from a conversation with one company, MRMC, with a guy there that I was sort of giving him a bit of a heads up as to where I saw our analysis going. And he said, you need to speak to these guys in Wimbledon Dimension, and they've got some really interesting technology. And that technology was volumetric capture. So we then went down to their studio and had a creative session with my team and the production teams. And that's where Skyscope was born. And Skyscope, basically, the idea is that we take a volumetric capture of golfers, and then we able to use them within our analysis. So this was shot at the events. As you can see, it's a 360 rig, all green screen, with about 180 cameras in there, and they're capturing the player from all angles. The golfer has, you'll see on his club, has motion capture points on his golf club. That's because obviously when they swing it so fast, we're unable to capture it by video, but we can capture it by motion capture. So we then, again, it was a world first, took volumetric capture and mixed it with motion capture. And we had to get all the clubs modeled and built in. And then the result was this.
One of the stars at Royal Portrush is Henrik Stenson, with open pedigree, a past champion and a great ball striker, one of the very best in the world. And we want to bring you a world's first right now in the open zone using Skyscope technology. And that allows me to take Henrik from out there and bring him in here.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Now that was an error because I don't think I muted myself. Well, welcome back to me. And thank you to our three speakers for giving us insights into the innovation going on in each of their companies. Now, we haven't got a lot of time left, so I've got one question. And I think if you could take it in turn that Jason, Steve, and then Rob. And the question is, what's the next big innovation milestone you're hoping to hit?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say well done to everyone that has, we're not only innovating it on screen, but innovating in different ways to make sure that we can get all these broadcasts at home to people at a tough time when people actually were pretty reliant on the television. So it's incredible that what's happened at Sky, but now it's exciting because we're at a point where it's starting to open up a bit and we can start pushing new things and new technologies to go out on the big sports this summer, and of course looking ahead to next season. I obviously can't give away too much about what we're going to do next, but I'm very excited about it. I think what's happened has completely changed our way of working. For instance, we did a studio test for the Lions, the rugby tour that's coming up, and I'm getting a HD feed to my iPad of the rehearsals behind the scenes. So I don't need to be there and it's incredible. But yeah, very exciting. We've got a load of work that we've built up over the last sort of 6 months, and we're excited to get back out there and get working on it.
I hope you get out very soon. Thank you, Jason. Steve.
What in terms of the next thing to happen?
Next big thing.
I think what we'll be really looking to push is using artificial intelligence to help with the scene creation. Without going into a lot of detail, there's a lot of sort of trickery to create the effects that you see on stage with channel manipulation. And although we have a lot of mathematical tools to help with that and things to generate mathematical patterns that look visually very exciting, there's still a sort of I'd say a maths trick really, and there's a lot of long dull donkey work behind that. Looking forward to being able to use the computer to offload a lot of that, to use artificial intelligence to offload a lot of that, because creative designers, they're not mathematicians, they're not physicists, they're creative people, and the closer we can get to enabling that and using the AI to translate what their visual sort of concept is into what has to happen mathematically with the channels, I think we'll start seeing some steps forward there. But Unreal Engine as well is just a massive step that's going to affect all of our industries, and it's great to be able to take advantage of that.
Great, thank you, Steve. Fascinating. Rob.
So I think the next big milestone that I think I can talk about is probably in our next release, which is 3.2, where we'll be having a couple of new features for VP. One of which is something called Shutter Sync. And the easiest way to explain it is basically, at the moment, when you shoot a video wall, there's a good chance the camera will interplay with it and give you nasty effects unless you set the shutter to a certain angle. Creatives don't want to have that restricted. So we've tried to create something that actually allows you to set it up in such a way you can have that creativity back. The shutter angle is important to a filmmaker. They want to be able to choose it. It's those sort of tools. But I think, on a general level, it's just the milestones are all about, and I guess if this is all about getting the next 10 years right, then for us, virtual production is about creating ways of doing business and filming that are less impact on the environment. And obviously, shooting a movie in a studio in front of a video screen does not involve flying around the world. And if there's one thing I guess we're all learning around the moment, it's new ways of avoiding flying a lot. And I guess that's something we kind of needed to do anyway.
Great. I think we've all had lessons from the last year that have driven innovation, haven't they? So thank you to our three speakers, Jason, Steve, and Rob. And I hope you've all enjoyed the session and found it informative. And become part of the Digital Creative Network or reach out to our speakers. And from me and from the Digital Creative Network, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Prema, Jason, Steve, Rob, and Bill. That was amazing. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and all your work. And it's incredibly inspiring to see the hard work that goes on behind the scenes and what we see as consumers and viewers. We will now take a short break. So do join us at 5 p.m. for the next session. Don't forget to check out our virtual booths, and also do join the conversation on social using hashtags CogX2021 and CreateTech UK. See you shortly.